Calorie counting works for weight loss, at least in the short term. One problem: the average person just won't stick for it for that long. For many people, calorie counting can quickly become a burden, requiring too much time and effort. It often just feels overly complicated. That's why many weight loss programs offer a simpler approach. For example, Weight Watchers and Noom both use a version of the quote unquote traffic light method. This method categorizes foods as green light, eat up, yellow light, eat in moderation, and red light, limit or avoid, depending on the program. But can these less precise methods really compare to calorie counting when it comes to weight loss results? A new study published in Obesity and funded by Weight Watchers put it to the test. My name is Jeremy Colon, and this is The Dark Side of Fitness, episode 22. How the study worked. This trial divided 72 mostly female participants. There were 4 men in the study who wanted to lose weight into 2 groups. Group 1, the standard group. These folks followed a 6-month digital weight loss program that involved calorie counting. Their daily calorie limit was based on their starting weight, and they logged their daily intake in an app. Group 2, the simplified group. These participants followed the same 6-month digital weight loss program, except they only had to track the number of red light foods they ate each day. Real quick, red light foods are foods that should be limited or eaten rarely according to a specific nutrition strategy or personal preference. Now let's get back to the study. Their red light limit was based on their starting weight. Less than 200 pounds equaled 3 red foods. 200 pounds to 249 pounds equals 4 red foods. Anything over 250 pounds was 5 red foods. Participants in both groups were between 21 and 55 years old, had BMIs between 25 and 50, had a child between 2 and 12 years old. Interestingly, the researchers said that the parents of young children were an ideal population to test their app-based program out on, since they tend to participate less in an in-person weight loss programs. Aside from the food tracking method used, everything else was the same for the 2 groups. They wore Fitbit trackers, weighed themselves daily, and followed the same program that delivered lessons about weight loss and healthy lifestyle straight to their smartphones. Before we get to the results, you're no doubt wondering, so what counts as red light food? For the purposes of this study, red light foods were given a really straightforward definition: calorie-dense foods and drinks with low nutrient density, such as cookies, chips, fries, sweetened beverages, candy, and alcohol. Basically, the foods most people who start a diet think they should limit or even avoid altogether. There are 3 things to know about this way of categorizing real life foods. Number 1, it's what Weight Watchers use in its app-based program. Again, they funded the study. Number 2, this approach has come under fire for a variety of reasons, like potentially promoting food guilt, since it could be perceived as categorizing some foods as quote-unquote good, green light, and others as bad, red light. For me as a coach, I use the precision nutrition light method. They're foods you tend to avoid the most of the time because they don't help you achieve your goals. You always overeat them. You're allergic to them. You can't easily digest them. You just don't like them. Ultra-processed foods often fall into this category, but as you can see above, categorizing something as red under a system isn't just about calorie count or processing level, and it's different for every individual. So for one person, ice cream might be red light food, but for another, it's not. What's more, as a whole, this version of the traffic light method isn't about tracking. It's about helping clients build better awareness about which foods are working for them and which foods aren't. In fact, it's a tool to help people eat nutritiously, enjoy their meals, and feel in control around food without feeling restricted or deprived. What the study found. The results between the 2 groups were very similar. Though the standard group appeared to have lost slightly more weight, there wasn't a statistically significant difference between the 2 groups. According to the researchers, the data does indicate calorie counting might produce slightly more weight loss for people who stick to it closely, but they concluded that the 2 approaches were basically equivalent. Here are some coaching takeaways from this study. Number 1, for a lot of people, simple tracking approaches work just fine. This study adds to what has been experienced. Most people don't need to closely track calorie counts to make meaningful progress. It's not that calorie counting is wrong or bad. It's just that a lot of the time, something easier that takes up less mental energy works roughly as well. Number 2, give folks option. Just because Weight Watchers' version of the traffic light system worked as well as calorie counting doesn't mean every person should do it. There are a lot of different ways to improve food intake, and each person should get to choose what works best for them. Maybe counting calories or macros is actually best because the person is a data geek who loves numbers, or perhaps, portion control using hands make more sense since it helps with portion control but doesn't limit food choices. A person may find it more flexible than the traffic light system and less stressful than counting calories. And some folks might prefer eating intuitively because they're able to effectively follow their hunger and fullness signals. The point here is that the best method for weight loss is going to vary with each person. Number 3, be open to shifting food tracking preferences. People change. When someone is undergoing a physical transformation, their mindset shifts too. The tracking method that works best for someone when they start losing weight may not be right for them a year or two later. Maybe a die-hard calorie counter who meticulously measures their peanut butter is ready to try something more intuitive after a while, or vice versa. So when you hear that something isn't quite working well for someone, it's best to be reminded that there's other options, because it seems that it doesn't work or doesn't matter so much with what method you're using. What matters is that the method fits perfect for your body, goals, and life. I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to view this video or listen to it wherever you are in the world. As always, please like, subscribe, and share this information with anybody who could benefit from this. Until then, see you on the next one. Take care.